Wow, do I have a big topic for you guys today. Question, is it finally time for a new religion or spiritual group? Could a new organization that focuses on the truth of all religions and spiritual movements without all of the mistakes be created? One that ideally focuses on simple lessons of love and faith, but also clear points what is correct and incorrect in historical text. I know it sounds impossible. How would everyone agree on what is true and not true? A new way of discerning truth would be required. This is where the work of David R. Hawkins on how to tell truth from falsehood could be a first step. Creating such an organization seems like wishful thinking, but spiritual religious organizations have their place in society. Unfortunately, almost none of them are particularly positive at this moment in history. I would love to see something like this. I have no idea where it would come from or how it would get started, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Sorry for the long post. You don't have to say you're sorry. I love you just the same. So, I'm going to go back to the very first part of this. Is it finally time for a new religion or spiritual group? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Spirituality is a personal journey. And once you start creating a spiritual group or new religion, you are creating dogma instantly. And once this, I don't even know who David Hawkins is. If he told you how to tell truth, he's wrong, because that is an individual thing. We each discern our own truths in our own way. I discern my truth differently from my friends who discern it another way. So there is no one way. In my Father's house there are many mansions, which means there are many ways to God. It's a matter of finding your way to love, finding your way to the love of God. And to literally say, this is how it has to be, or this is the one truth, is absolutely wrong in my opinion. And it would go completely against what Jeshua taught, because what he taught was personal journey, coming to your own divinity, stepping into your Christed self. And I use that term because that is actually a New Age term, Christed self. But Christ means anointed, so that means it kind of sets you apart. But what I'm saying is step into that next level of acceptance of your divinity, acceptance of your oneness with God. Now, do I think there's a place for a place of study where people can come together and share their differences and revel in their differences? I think that's absolutely a possibility, but I think that's more of an online hub than it is a religion or a spiritual group. I think the second you start creating a religion or a spiritual group, you negate everybody's own free will, everybody's own pathway to the source. And like I say, I don't know the work of David Hawkins, but if he's saying this is how you tell truth from falsehood, the fact that he's telling you that to me is where he falls flat already, because this is how it's done means that's the only way it's done. That's the way it's done. And there are many ways. There are many ways. People have a different way of getting there every time. And as far as spiritual religious organizations have their place in society, I think their place in society is going away. And I think they're going away very, very quickly. And I think that there's a reason for that, because people are finding their own pathway. To give you an example, I used to speak at a metaphysical center not too far south of where I live right now. And they rented the choir loft of a church for their metaphysical center. And the reason they were able to do that is because the church couldn't make their rent because they were losing parishioners at a ridiculous rate. Right? So the metaphysical center, which was bringing in Buddhists and Hindu and all kinds of different spiritual thought into the location, was up in this choir loft, and they closed it off with walls, and it was their own space. What happened next? Well, two things happened next. They outgrew the space, and they decided to move when the Christians downstairs started writing Satan worshiper and you're going to burn in hell and stuff, writing graffiti on the walls of the metaphysical center upstairs. broke in and wrote graffiti on the walls of the Metaphysical Center. How Christian is that? Would Jeshua approve of that? No. Religions are going away. Cults are going away. We are coming to a place of our own divinity. And all of those religions, all of those this is how it is sort of things are going away. New Age beliefs that came out in the 60s through the early 2000s are going away because they don't make any sense from a lot of people. They're like, well, I don't really buy that, right? The information that comes through, if it feels right to you personally, is what you follow. You don't need a religion to tell you anything. And if you're looking for community, if that's what you're saying is the important part of spiritual religious organizations, then create community. Create a place where you can get together and have open conversations without dogma or tradition or cults, And if you like those things, then that's your path, But it's not about creating something new. It's about stepping into your divinity. It's far more simple. And religions and spiritual organizations are literally trying to wrap a belief system around something that's ridiculously simple. It's so simple we have a hard time grasping it. That's why religions and those organizations exist, because they're trying to say this is how it is. When you find a group that is open to all schools of thought, then that is what I would gravitate towards that community, something that allows people to be who they are and express who they are and live into their divinity. But to create something new in that regard, I think you're more along the lines of looking for an online presence where people can come and talk about any spiritual topic, and people can explore with their own beliefs, and a place of going, okay, I believe this. But I will never be a part of any new religion and new spiritual organization, spiritual group. Now, I would gladly be part of a hub like that would that would show all sides of religion and all sides of spiritual belief, right? And then how I would end up being a part of that is I would say, we'll see how this correlates with that one, and see how that one correlates with this one, see how this one correlates with this one. And so the people who don't want to go all the way there can come here and get it here. So there's ways around it, but I don't think it should ever be encapsulated into a single one, because you limit yourself. You limit yourself from your personal truth, your actual personal truth. Like I know that when I've had my big spiritual experiences, they haven't always been the same as somebody else's, because we each have our own way. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. And so that's my thought on that. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye. Thank you, my friends, for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure that you've subscribed and you like it, you share it, but also comment below it. Let's get this community talking about these topics and spreading this information out far and wide so we can change the world for the better. Thank you.